Hello and welcome to Unbuilt Giants, a series that looks at the development and demise of some of history's most notable and sometimes bizarre skyscraper projects. The Miglin-Beitler Skyneedle was an ambitious and ultimately unbuilt skyscraper proposed for downtown Chicago in the late 1980s. Conceived by developers Lee Miglin and J and designed by architect César Pelli, the tower was planned to rise 125 stories and reach a height of 1,999 feet, which would have made it the tallest building in the world at the time. Intended as a bold statement of economic confidence and architectural innovation, the Skyneedle was to house premium office space, retail, leisure facilities, and public attractions. However, the project was derailed by a combination of economic downturns, design limitations, and personal tragedy, and it remains one of the most iconic, unrealized structures in Chicago's modern history. In 1988, two prominent figures in Chicago's real estate scene, Lee Miglin and J introduced an ambitious proposal that, had it come to fruition, would have permanently altered the architectural and cultural landscape of the city. Their vision was for a soaring, super-tall skyscraper, the Miglin-Beitler Skyneedle, which was conceived not merely as another addition to Chicago's skyline, but as its new apex, an icon of modern engineering and vertical ambition. The proposed structure was to be situated at 201 West Madison Street, a highly visible site in the heart of Chicago's Loop, surrounded by the city's commercial core and only a few blocks from the then tallest building in the world, the Sears Tower. At a proposed height of 1,999 feet and 125 stories, the Skyneedle was designed to eclipse both the Sears Tower and the CN Tower in Toronto, making it not only the tallest building, but also the tallest freestanding structure on the planet. The choice of this particular height, just 1 foot shy of 2,000, appeared intentional, perhaps a symbolic gesture to push the limits of design and regulation without crossing a psychological threshold. The tower's silhouette was meant to taper dramatically as it rose, giving it an elegant, needle-like profile that justified its name and allowed it to stand out starkly against the horizon from virtually any vantage point in the city. The architectural responsibilities were entrusted to César Pelli, an internationally acclaimed architect known for designing buildings that combined sleek modernism with a strong sense of place. At the time, Pelli was already a recognized figure in skyscraper design and would later become globally famous for his work on the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur. For the Skyneedle, Pelli envisioned a futuristic, glass-clad structure punctuated by setbacks that subtly recalled Art Deco influences yet remained unmistakably modern in its materials and proportions. The building was intended not only as a record-breaking height achievement, but as an architectural landmark, one that would express Chicago's continued leadership in the field of high-rise innovation, from the era of Louis Sullivan to the postmodern age. The chosen location was significant in itself. Positioned in the Loop, the city's dense financial and legal district, the site offered both practical connectivity and symbolic visibility. From this location, the Skyneedle would have literally looked down upon the Sears Tower, asserting a new era of civic ambition and private development. The plot at 201 West Madison was also close to previous projects completed by the developers and the architect, including 181 West Madison Street, which had featured a similarly refined geometric approach to form and was seen by some as a conceptual predecessor to the Skyneedle. The architectural design of the Miglin-Beitler Skyneedle was characterized by its exceptionally slender footprint, with each floor plate averaging only about 15,000 square feet, or roughly 1,400 square meters. This narrow structural base, repeated over 125 stories, would have produced an overall floor area of approximately 1.9 million square feet, or 176,500 square meters. A substantial amount by conventional standards, yet relatively modest when compared to other towers of similar height due to its limited floor plate size. Of this total, around 1.2 million square feet was intended specifically for office use. The target demographic for these office spaces was not the typical corporate giant, but rather smaller, elite firms, particularly law offices, boutique financial services, and similar operations that required only 8,000 to 10,000 square feet of workspace. The building's developers sought to capitalize on this niche, appealing to firms seeking a prestigious downtown address without the need for expansive, contiguous floors. In visual terms, the tower was conceived as a striking addition to the Chicago skyline. The silhouette would have risen with a sculptural elegance, featuring a series of setbacks that progressively narrowed the structure as it climbed, culminating in a tall, needle-like spire that extended several hundred feet above the uppermost occupied floors. This tapering form would have amplified the building's perceived height and slenderness, making it appear even more dramatic when viewed from street level or from across the city. The design drew inspiration from the stepped profiles of early 20th century skyscrapers such as the Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building in New York, yet translated these historical references into a modern idiom. Rather than the ornamented facades of its predecessors, the Skyneedle's exterior would have been dominated by a sleek glass curtain wall, reflecting both sky and city. At ground level, the design called for granite cladding to provide a tactile, human-scale material presence in the pedestrian realm. The silver-toned exterior finish was chosen to give the tower a contemporary and luminous quality, ensuring it would stand out during both day and night. Rental pricing was set at $35 per square foot, comparable to the higher-end Manhattan office market at the time, and well above what was typical for downtown Chicago. The developers also counted on substantial income from public attractions within the tower, including a rooftop observation deck, a two-story health club with an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and 12 levels of indoor parking. These features were designed not only to generate additional revenue, but to position the building as a self-contained vertical city, offering an exclusive urban environment for tenants and visitors alike. The initial projected cost of the project was $400 million, but by mid-1990, that figure had risen to $450 million, with a projected completion date in 1993. From the beginning, however, the Skyneedle was burdened by a volatile financial environment and fundamental structural constraints. The savings and loan crisis of the late 1980s had sent shockwaves through the American financial system, prompting tighter federal regulations and making lenders far more cautious. Banks, already spooked by the collapse of other large-scale property ventures, were reluctant to finance a super-tall skyscraper that broke every commercial precedent. At the same time, Chicago's downtown office market was faltering. Vacancy rates were around 14% and trending upward, with millions of additional square feet already under development. The announcement that Sears would vacate its namesake tower for a suburban campus only added to the glut and signaled a potential long-term shift away from centralized office hubs. There were growing doubts that demand would materialize to fill yet another mammoth structure in an already saturated market. Compounding these economic concerns were issues with the building's layout. The Skyneedle's slim design, though striking visually, created floor plates of approximately 15,000 square feet, relatively small by high-rise standards. This configuration was ill-suited to the needs of large tenants who preferred sprawling, contiguous office space on single floors. Any firm requiring significant square footage would have been forced to split operations across multiple levels, a logistical inconvenience that weakened the building's appeal to major corporate occupants. Without the presence of a few anchor tenants to provide financial stability, the entire leasing strategy appeared increasingly fragile. Yet, in spite of these warnings, Lee Miglin and J. Beitler remained unwavering in their pursuit of the tower. They continued exploring financing and promoting the project into the early 1990s, hoping the market would rebound and confidence in downtown Chicago would return. But before any such revival could take hold, a sudden and violent tragedy extinguished those efforts entirely. In May 1997, Lee Miglin was found murdered in the garage of his Gold Coast home. The killer was Andrew Cunanan, a spree murderer whose high-profile killing of fashion designer Gianni Versace would soon make international headlines. Miglin's death was brutal and widely reported, shocking the business community and throwing the future of the Skyneedle into immediate doubt. Without Miglin's vision, leadership, and connections, the project lost its driving force. It was quietly shelved and never seriously revisited. Today, the parcel of land at 201 West Madison remains a reminder of what might have been. The site is occupied by a nondescript 9-story parking garage with ground-floor retail, far removed from the soaring structure that once promised to redefine the Chicago skyline. The story of the Miglin-Beitler Skyneedle stands as a cautionary tale in urban development. It illustrates how bold architectural dreams, no matter how grand, can be derailed by economic instability, unfavorable market conditions, structural impracticalities, and unforeseen personal tragedy. It is a legacy built not in steel and glass, but in speculation, ambition, and what-ifs. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more episodes coming soon. See you next time.